Good morning to you all. All those here in the sanctuary, on Zoom, or on YouTube. My name's Norm Horofker, and I'm proud to be the minister of this congregation, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Halifax. Jessica Friesen is our music director, Marie-Claude Leroux is our director of religious exploration, and John Piccolo is our volunteer director and technician. And Marilyn Chenier is my service assistant this morning. What a great team we have assembled. Welcome to this service on the Thanksgiving holiday. Today we'll be addressing Thanksgiving through the lens of deep listening. If we listen, we'll find that we have much to be thankful for. Much that transcends our usual go-to thanks. Our usual thanks for family and food and health, as important as they are. During the service today, the chat function will be open, and I invite you to extend our hospitality by saying hello to anyone that you don't recognize. And if you're new or returning after a long absence, you may want to leave your contact information in the chat section. Oh, and if you're not already receiving information from our church and notifications, and you'd like to receive updates on our activities and services, please email me at minister@uuch.ca. Before we proceed, I have a few announcements. The order of service, I went out late last night. You may not have seen it, but there's a lot of detail in the order of service, and I refer you there. I've been speaking for weeks about our Wellspring Adult Religious Exploration Program, and I'm thrilled to report now that we have 13 people who expressed serious interest in the Wellspring program. And we'll be holding an orientation session in late October or early November. An announcement in that regard will be coming out this week. If you have not already expressed an interest in the program, but you are now regretting that you didn't speak out sooner, you can still contact me. There may still be an opportunity to participate. Again, we have an opportunity every Thursday night to keep in touch with people, to get out of our social isolation. It's at 7 p.m. online. The details for connecting again are in the order of service. And we've resumed services in the sanctuary, and people are gradually coming back in. It's good to see people here this morning. If you'd like to attend the service next Sunday in person, we ask that you contact Margaret Galbraith so that we can plan accordingly. I'm going to be out of town now for till October the 20th, leaving this afternoon. But you can reach me by phone or email. You can contact me while I'm away. And if I may indulge myself, I think members of my family in Toronto may be looking in this morning, so I want to say hello. I'm on my way shortly. All those who are watching through the miracle of the internet, special hello to Millie and to Bea, my new granddaughters. We'll see you soon. Semi-annual general meeting. This announcement didn't make it into the order of service that was sent out last night, but it's a very important meeting where, among other things, we'll be voting on the church budget for next year. This meeting will be after the service on Sunday, October 25th. The time has been moved up to 12 noon, not the previously announced 1 p.m. The meeting will be hybrid meetings, so you can attend in person at the church or online, just like our services. And I suspect that I'm going to put Margaret. Yeah, Margaret would like to know if you're going to be attending in person, so that, again, we can ensure social distancing. And now, as we prepare for the service, Jessica has some Prelude music to help you relax. At this time in our service each week, we formally acknowledge that we are on unceded land, the land of the Mi'kmaq Nation, Mi'kmaqi. The effects of colonialism are not obviously confined to North America. This morning I'd like to bring you a perspective that I found on the web from the Irish poet Padraig Ó Tuama. I think we can learn from it. I lived in Australia for 4 years. And once, after speaking at an event in Melbourne, a man approached me and asked, "Have you ever been welcomed to country?" In Australia, as in Canada, for example, many public meetings start off with an acknowledgement of country. But only an Indigenous person from that particular region can offer a welcome to country. The man speaking to me was from the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Alliance. I was in Melbourne, his people's territory. I was living as an uninvited guest, and he was offering a welcome I'd neither requested nor deserved. He told me to sit down, and he spoke welcome in his native tongue. He played the didgeridoo, he invoked a totem, he praised the land, the living and the dead, and he spoke the word that only his people have the place to say: welcome. Nothing prepared me for this grounding. When he was finished, he said, "Now you're here, son." I touch the ground in his honor every time I think I'm there. And I hope for treaties and reparations to tell the truth about the stealing of lands and languages across the great red earth, and I may add, around the world. The idea of being welcomed to this land of Mi'kmaqi by a member of the Mi'kmaq Nation is powerful. I'm not sure that I've earned that welcome yet. This morning, Destiny Saunier will be reading our chalice lighting words. Over to you, Destiny.
Here today is the place, and with these people, may we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know, and may we know so that we can change ourselves in this world. May this chalice be lighted. Light our way. Back to you, Norm.
Thank you, Destiny. And I'll light the chalice here in our sanctuary this morning. And again, thank you, Destiny. It's such a pleasure to hear your voice. And now Jessica will lead us in the opening hymn.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to be playing number 290, Bring O Past Your Honor. Some of you may know the melody as the Christian hymn, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. So let's sing together. We're going to sing 1, 2, and 4. Want to sing? Please join me. Ring in glad thanksgiving, bell of grief and gladness, forth to town and prairie let our festal greetings go. Voices still and parted, in your tones re-echo, praise to the to all below. Church up your reform. spirit free. Long o'er life's swift river, preach the eternal gospel, faith, hope, and love for all humanity. Thank you.
I've once again broken my reflection into 3 parts, and each part is preceded by a brief reading that will be done this morning by Marilyn Chenier. Thank you, Marilyn, for doing this on short notice, and over to you for the first reading.
A Prayer for the Listeners by Reverend Joe M. Cherry. When my ears are full of the worries, the concerns, the pains of others, grant me permission for silence. When my arms and shoulders and back ache from the burdens of others, grant me permission to set them down. Guide me to another, a friend perhaps, to talk with, not for once to be talked at. And may I not be a burden to them as I pour out my pain, my weariness, my exhaustion, but a place, a space of mutual care. My listener friend, may you always know, no matter how tired I am, you can turn to me too.
Thank you. Our theme again for the month is deep listening, and deep listening today on Thanksgiving. This Thanksgiving, I want to express my thanks for the web of humanity that sustains us. We're not individual, independent, autonomous beings. We're part of a web of humanity. We're dependent on each other for everything, from the food we eat, to the civil society and the rules that we live by, to the love and the friendship without which we perish. We sustain one another in the giant, imperfect, dynamic web of humanity. Each of us, save the truly ill, the psychopath, each of us has the capacity for love with all its blessings and the capacity for hate with all its curses. In order for this web of humanity to function, we need to be in communication with one another. We are not autonomous. We are each engaged in a beautiful, sometimes extremely subtle network of feedback loops. We affect one another in a million different ways, from the subtlety of a raised eyebrow to that signals disapproval, to the abominations of war. We have to listen to one another to survive. And the better we listen, the better is our society. Listening is paying attention to the signals around us. Listening in this sense involves much more than our ears. Listening is being sensitive to the many things going around us every day. Listening can be a beautiful thing. The laughter of a child, the sight of a beautiful painting or sculpture, the leaves turning outside our window, the soothing sound of music, the smell of a forest after rain. We listen to them all in different ways. And what about the seductive advertising industry? They want us to listen. They want to keep our economy running, bombarding us with beautiful images of new cars and exotic vacations and latest fashions or high-tech devices. And at the other extreme, we listen to the sounds of war, the plight of refugees, the pain of disease, both physical and mental. Because we listen, we know that there are many people who are suffering around us, people without support, people without that friend that they can go to and unburden, children in abusive homes, families devastated by alcohol or drug addiction. I don't have to elaborate. I know you listen. I know you know. To varying extents, we all stop listening. We walk by the person on the street begging for money. We don't have time or emotional energy to stop and listen and hear their story. We intentionally sometimes avoid people in need of our support. We establish boundaries. And such boundaries are necessary for our own mental health, but they should be established with careful thought to our own mental health. From the reading, when my ears are full of worries, the concerns and the pains of others, grant me permission for silence. When my arms and shoulders and back ache from the burdens of others, grant me permission to set them down. We can give meaning to this complex, this challenging web of humanity, but we need to protect ourselves and to set boundaries so that we are not immobilized by the enormity of it all. But we also need to listen. We need to be human, to have empathy, to pay attention. Our collective lives depend on it. We're part of something much bigger than ourselves. The quality of our society, the quality of our lives, depends on how well we communicate. And listening is the bigger part of communication. Now, Marie-Claude has selected a story for children of all ages. That's right on the mark for this morning's service. Marie-Claude?
Good morning, everyone. How many of you listening have tried to save a sick bird? A bird's fragility in those moments makes its hold on life tenuous. In the story I'm about to share, it's by paying attention and listening to his heart that a young boy recognizes this fragility and takes a chance to help an injured bird. I wonder if he'll be able to save it. This is How to Heal a Broken Wing by Bob Graham. High above the city, no one heard the soft thud of feathers against glass. No one saw the bird fall. No one looked down except Will. Will saw a bird with a broken wing, and he took it home. A loose feather can't be put back, but a broken wing can sometimes heal. With rest and time and a little hope, a bird may fly again. Will opened his hands, and with a beat of its wings, the bird was gone. Bringing the injured bird into their hearts and home was a gift to all of them. Thanks to Will listening to his heart.
A great story, and I'll have more to add. But now we take this special time to reflect on our joys and sorrows. It's a sacred time in our service. It's a time that we set apart to honor the many sorrows and the many joys that you, the congregation, are living, and to acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Today I'll light one candle, as we always do, for those who are here with us or in our thoughts, who are struggling mentally, physically, financially, or emotionally. And I'll also light one candle for all the joys that are here in the room this morning, with you on Zoom or watching on YouTube. For the big joys that come along only infrequently, like new grandbabies, or the little joys that we're blessed with every day if we're able to see them. Each week I invite anyone with a joy or a sorrow to share at this time, to relay their thoughts to me through email. This morning, I want to share a joy with all of you. Marie Davis, one of the beloved members of this congregation, turns 93 years old on Monday, the 12th of this month. I'd like to light a candle for Marie. And while things are improving slightly, I also want to light a candle once again for the members and friends of our congregation who are shut in long-term care homes. This includes Marie Davis, and John Patterson, and Irisha Cox, and Ann Wood, and Norm Sabowitz, and Dr. Philip Welch. I spoke with John Patterson and let him know we were lighting a candle every Sunday for him, and he started to cry. And a candle again this week for Faith Piccolo's sister, Peggy Walsh. Faith is still in Newfoundland, I believe, coming home this week, but she's been there to help her sister in a difficult time. Later, when we stop the live streaming on YouTube and before the coffee hour begins, I will invite anyone else to share a joy or a sorrow if they'd like to do so. Now, Jessica will lead us in the reflective hymn. I love these lyrics that speak so well about deep listening.
Sing along with me. When I'm troubled. When I am troubled, will you listen to me? When I am lonely, will you be my friend? Will you be there for me? Comfort me tenderly. Will you share some of your feelings with me? If you will show me commitment, then I may learn to love as you
May the joys and the sorrows, both those acknowledged here this morning and those held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, weave us together in the interdependent fabric that is our community. And now Marilyn has a second reading. It's an imagined letter from our better angels, a response to a request. When they're unable to fix the problem that we had complained about, they offer encouragement in a frightening world.
Dear one, we have received your letter, and we hate to tell you. Well, not hate so much, but are a bit afraid to say. We cannot grant your requests as stated, but can only remind you of familiar things. First, faith. Faith in yourself and trust in others. We know it can be terrifying to be vulnerable, but only when you share your softest side will we be able to break through. Next, hope. Hope is not an empty fairy tale. It is the true story of all the times human beings like you have found a way to create the future, though you didn't know how. And of course, love. Love that demands you cherish all people, not just yourself and safety. Love that is not satisfied until every argument ends abruptly when one child says, "That hurts." There is so much to learn and relearn. The world teaches you to be hard, to negotiate and defend, to avoid giving too much and to the wrong people. There are no wrong people. You also are not wrong. And when you encounter the poor, the broken, the unhoused, and unwelcome, you are looking, if you pay attention, at us, calling to you, calling you to answer your own prayers. If you want to change the world, first be sure you are changing yourself. Be tender, be kind, be at peace. Be all the things you wish for. Be your own better self. It isn't without cost, but it will be free.
Reflection Part 2, Risking a Broken Heart. What thoughts went through your mind as you listened to the story of the bird with the broken wing? It's no coincidence that the bird was noticed by a child. The child's nature is to listen, to be attuned to what's going on around them. They have so much to learn. My daughter recently sent me a video of 6-month-old Millie just looking at her hand, just noticing her hand, just learning about the world. Got to admit, I take my hands for granted. I need to spend more time in appreciation. I don't know about you, but I learned as a child the hard lesson that sick birds usually succumb to their injury or their illness, despite our valiant efforts to save them. It most often takes more than the love of a child. I think my batting average for saving sick animals that I brought home was something less than 10%. But I still did it. Remember the words from the chalice lighting. May we listen so that we can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. And may we feel so that we can know. And may we know so that we can change ourselves and the world. The child whose heart has not been hardened yet by experience is willing to risk heartbreak. And a broken heart is not a trivial thing. It's a metaphor for a loss of purpose, a loss of the thing that sustains us, that gives our lives meaning. Perhaps you heard recent news stories about the Canadian military investing a few $1 million into research to try to mitigate the damage of something called moral injury. Might also be called heartbreak. Here's one definition of moral injury. Moral injury is the damage done to one's conscience or moral compass When that person perpetrates, witnesses, or fails to act to prevent situations that transgress one's own moral belief, values, or ethical code of conduct. One of the ways we protect ourselves is to assume that when bad things happen to individuals, there's some element of failure on their part. Our moral compass still holds. There's still right and wrong. But when confronted with some situations, our heart's broken. There is no explanation for why this should happen. Things happen that call into question our very understanding of the universe and the world around us. This is why listening deeply to another's story without judgment can break your heart. And it can risk more than a broken heart. It can shake the ground of your being, the assumptions that you have lived your life by. Do we dare to risk a broken heart? Recall these words from Marilyn's writing by Sean Parker Dennison. There is love, love that demands you cherish all people, not just yourself and safety. Love is not satisfied until every argument ends abruptly when one child, dare I say one person, says, "That hurts." Jessica selected an interlude piece by the singer-songwriter Lee Morris. And there's a little bonus lesson about listening at the end of the video that I left in. Lee Morris's website includes these words: "Love is the highest form of worship." And this quote, she said, "I'll sing anywhere folks agree that we are all one."
I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. My ears are wide open. My eyes are now open to see what I may be. I'm listening. I am listening. Spirit, speak to me. I'm listening. I am listening. In this moment of Spirit, speaks through me. I can hear the voices of all my kind. I'm listening, singing. I am listening, the tweeting and howling into the wind. My ears are wide open, oh, the joy. My eyes are wide open, oh, the love to see and to hear for you and me. Oh, I'm listening in this moment of silence. I am listening. I hear Spirit speak through me. Did you sleep well?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a favor? Can you go and push with Jake for 5 minutes while I finish? You see I'm doing some worky stuff.
For 5 seconds?
5 minutes. You'll see how long. It's not very long.
How many seconds is 5 minutes?
Well, it's 300 seconds, but you don't have to count to 300. I'll just be in there to get you when I'm all done, okay?
So who's gonna have to count to 300?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Listening to a child. And now Marilyn will present the last reading in this morning's trilogy.
This one is from A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. If people bring so much courage to this world, the world has to kill them to break them. So of course it kills them. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong at the broken places. But those that will not break, it kills. It kills the very good and the very gentle and the very brave impartially. If you are none of these, you can be sure it will kill you too, but there will be no special hurry.
Reflection part 3, Stronger in the Broken Places. Ernest Hemingway did a lot of living. And like all good authors, he was a good listener, a good observer of humanity and human nature. He offers here a very bleak assessment of that interdependent web of humanity that I started talking about. In the end, according to Hemingway in this quote, the world breaks everyone, killing those that it cannot break any other way. And yet he also says, the world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are stronger at their broken places. I think the story that Marie-Claude told us this morning might have been even a better children's story if the bird with the broken wing had not survived, had died despite all the love of the little boy. Suppose that sounds cruel. In the luxury of a supportive and loving family, children are raised in a protected bubble. Children have absolute faith in their parents. The parents can do no wrong. I heard a psychologist say that it has to be that way because the child knows instinctively that their existence depends entirely on their parents. They can't for a moment question that their parents are going to be there for them. In this idealized world of childhood, the good and the gentle and the brave will always ultimately succeed. But growing up in the real world, we eventually and inevitably are broken of these simplistic views. The very brave may literally die, be killed fighting for the cause that they believe in. But most people are broken in a different way. Some will be overcome and overwhelmed with the problems that they face. They will then be paralyzed into inaction. They will withdraw from meaningful personal engagement, broken like a wild horse that has lost its spirit and accepts the saddle and the bit. These are the people who walk by the crippled bird or the panhandler in the street, the people who don't engage in the issues of their day. I remember when I was participating in a program, a self-help program, and one of the women in the program said that her solution, the solution she had tried to make sense of her life was to simplify things. She reduced and eliminated eventually some things she was studying. She cut back on the amount of social engagement she had. She eventually quit her job, hoping that she could control more and more of her life, and it would give her peace. And all it did was make her life smaller and smaller and smaller. People like this have been broken. More than anything, they want comfort in their lives. They don't want to risk further heartbreak by listening to what is happening around them. But as Hemingway says, the world will kill even these. But they're not a risk to the status quo. They'll be killed, but there's no special hurry. They're dying already. Others, the ones who emerge stronger in the broken places, are those who learn the harsh realities of the world we inhabit, the seedy underbelly, if you will, of the interdependent web of humanity. They know the odds of a bird with a broken wing surviving, and they still risk getting their heart broken. They're motivated by love and hope and faith, and that way they give meaning to their lives. By struggling to push on their boundaries, to engage more with the world, to enlarge their lives. Ultimately, the world will break us all. But for the lucky ones who prepared to risk listening, a lot of good will happen before the inevitable. This is a time in the service now when in pre-COVID times we would pass a collection plate. Instead, this morning, I have this message from our board of the church. The UUCH community has been so loving and generous during this strange and unsettling year. Many thanks to all those who have kept our financial house in good order. Your giving is so appreciated. We've continued to pay staff, offer our Saturday brunch or bag lunch, stock the food at this food bank, and for that we thank your generosity. Going forward, we know that we can continue to count on you. If you would like to make a donation at any time, you can do so by e-transfer to the treasurer at uuch.ca. If you prefer to do this by check, send it to the church address. This message with gratitude from your board of directors. And now Jessica will lead us in the closing hymn.
Well, Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so we gather together in joyful thanksgiving. Please sing along with me. We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, acclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now in our living. We sing a hymn of praise to the life that we bear. We gather together to join in the journey, confirming commitment our passage to be a true affirmation in joy and tribulation. When bound to human care and hope, then we are free. Let's do the first verse again. We gather together in joyful thanksgiving, acclaiming creation whose bounty we share. Both sorrow and gladness we find now in our living. We sing a hymn of praise to the life that we bear.
I was commenting on the hymn, We Join Now Together in Joyful Thanksgiving, and reflecting on how that played against the message that I just gave you about this complicated, difficult, challenging web of humanity that we're part of and that I'm encouraging you to engage in and listen to. And I give joyful thanksgiving for that complexity, for that amazing and challenging world that we find ourselves in. As difficult as it is, it's that place that gives our life meaning. Our closing words before I extinguish the chalice were written by Frederick Buckner, entitled Beyond Words. Whenever you find tears in your eyes, especially unexpected tears, it's well to pay the closest of attention. They're not only telling you something about the secret of who you are, but more often than not, God is speaking to you. Through them, of the mystery of where you have come from, and is summoning you to where you should go next. Pay attention to your tears, my friend. I extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary, grateful for the fact that we can once again have people in the sanctuary for the service. Thank you all who attended the service today by Zoom or by YouTube or in person. I'll say goodbye now to those who joined us on YouTube as we end our live streaming. Thank you again, and I hope you have a very pleasant Thanksgiving holiday.